My name's Tony Lee. I'm the Chair of Mugabala Books, based in Broome in Western Australia. Thank you all for coming to the launch of Eddie's Country.
Thank you. Once again, my name's Rob Welsh and I'm the Chairperson of Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council. So on behalf of the members of the Metro Land Council, I'd like to welcome everybody here today to Gadigal land. Whether you travelled across the road, across town, across the state, or across this beautiful country of ours, or across the seas, I'd like to welcome you here to Aboriginal land, Gadigal land.
Without any further ado, I would like to welcome Lee to formally launch Eddie's Country.
The Murray family have copped so much. Eddie was murdered. Arthur and Leela's daughter died in a car crash. Family members have been bashed and jailed. And for decades, family and friends have battled to find the truth about how Eddie died. For most of the journey, terrible crimes have been committed against Aboriginal people and are still being committed. And that is why I say to all of you, it's essential reading. There's many messages I believe you need to take from tonight. But one is that you read the book and you get other people to read the book. It is a book that Australia needs to take careful note of. Eddie's story in life and his story in death is not a one-off. Eddie's experiences are similar to those of so many of his brothers and sisters across this country. And the rate of incarceration is increasing. Between June 2004 and June 2005, the number of Indigenous people in New South Wales jails increased by 12%. Overall, over all of Australia, 22.3% of the jail population is made up of Indigenous people. The story of Eddie's parents will move you deeply. It gives you strength, courage and inspiration. It is all there. The book, I felt good. It is a story about people coming together and fighting back. Thanks to Simon Luckhurst, the author of Eddie's Country, we now know about Eddie's life and death, and we need to ensure that the knowledge of that life and death goes much wider than this room. This book deserves the widest audience. It holds lessons that must be learnt by all Australians. I do want to congratulate Simon and Mugabala Books. Your contribution has been enormous. I am very pleased to launch Eddie's Country. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you all for coming here tonight. Firstly, I want to mention straight away that one of the people I'd most wanted to be present tonight isn't here. Leela Murray was a strong, funny and kind-hearted woman, and I know that everyone in this room who knew her feels the same way that I do, and feels sorry that she can't be here with us tonight and sharing this moment. Her voice was always at the back of my mind in writing this story. I'd imagine her reception to what I was writing, whether she'd approve or not. I didn't always cut what I thought she wouldn't want in there, but I certainly strengthened my arguments if it was something I thought she may not like, but I felt it should be included. This is Arthur and Leela's story, and it's all in the book now, and it's a record of another side of Australia which we don't hear much about. It's also a story of justice waiting to happen. The tale of Eddie Murray is long and convoluted and still unresolved. This book doesn't try to blame any individual for what happened, but it does point the finger squarely at the governments and agencies who should have done more to resolve what exactly happened in the Weebore police station that cold June day. Before I go, I just want to mention one more thing. Much of Eddie's Country looks, in one way or another, at Aboriginal deaths in custody. These still occur at a rate of more than one a month. The 10 years after the Royal Commission actually had more deaths in custody than the 10 years leading up to it, and which created such an outcry. Thankfully, as some of the recommendations of the Royal Commission have been enacted, the rate has started to decline, although there are still tragedies that occur if authorities don't follow through with the procedures which have been put in place. Another reason deaths in custody still occur is because, as Lee mentioned, the rate of Aboriginal imprisonment continues to climb. I checked my files and here are some recent statistics. 1 in 51 Indigenous adults is in prison, compared to 1 in 845 non-Indigenous people. Indigenous women are now 30% of those incarcerated in New South Wales, 15 times the population rate. The number of women in jail has risen 2.5 times since the Royal Commission. Nearly 1 in 5 of all Aboriginal men in New South Wales appeared before a court on criminal offence in 2001. And for those aged 20 to 24, the figure was 2 in 5. Yet if those Aboriginal men who were given sentences of less than 6 months were not jailed, the Indigenous prison population would be reduced by 56%. And if you think it's cheap to answer just to lock people away, be aware that in New South Wales it costs an average of $167 a day to keep someone incarcerated. That's about the price of a decent hotel room in Sydney. Many people have fought against Aboriginal deaths in custody. Increasingly more and more people are realising it's time to start protesting against Aboriginal lives in custody. There's been a lot of outcry on the news in the past week about violence in Aboriginal communities, and the immediate response is calls to take the children away to protect them and lock up the offenders. It's vital that children are kept safe, and equally important that those who prey on them are kept away from them. There's no question about that. But if we're to learn the lessons of the past, then we can't have a repeat of the stolen generations, any more than we can have another decade of deaths in custody due to stupidly high levels of Aboriginal incarceration. From what I've learned in the last 6 years working with the Murray family, and from hearing from so many other people, is that Aboriginal people must be listened to. The solution that I understand must occur is a holistic one based on wide-scale social reform, a commitment to fund programs identified by Aboriginal people and specialists working together. Such a solution, of course, has positive implications not just for Aboriginal people, but for disadvantaged white communities and the wider Australian community as well. But can we wait for our state and federal leaders to do something? I'd like to invoke the words of the late Rick Farley when he called for Australians not to rely on politicians to take the lead on this issue. We all have a collective responsibility to act, he said, and we all have an individual responsibility. These are words that are worth remembering. I hope Eddie's country informs you and inspires you, because above all, as much as it's a description of injustice, it's also a testament to great strength and courage. Thank you.
I appreciate the people that's here tonight. There's a part that intrigued me and my wife has been a thorn in our throat for a long time. I've got my family, my oldest daughter, I've got 2 sons left. One fellow sitting right in front of me now. And it brings back a lot of memories to see my kids around with my grandkids, with the people that I know over tremendous lot of years, my great grandkids. I give credit to a bloke that followed me right through of doing Eddie's country's book. We've travelled a tremendous lot of mileage, and we talked about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. We've met with a terrible lot of people, black and white. And this man wanted to, so I'll write a story about you. He says, you've been through a lot of things. You've been through a terrible lot of stress with your wife and the losing of Jacqueline and top it off, losing Eddie. That man is sitting right behind me, Simon Luckhurst. Sometimes you wake up and you cry about, I cry about Mum. and sometimes you can see their face. Losing someone so special, someone that you had for 47 years, and to lose her in the fashion that we lost her, it made one cry. Is it politics that you play in this game with Aboriginal people? Is it? You seem to hurt yourself. This is Australia. This is Australia. Do we have to see our people die under those circumstances? I don't even know. You respect whether you go to hospital, whether you go in prison, wherever you go, the welfare of those people has to be looked after. Irrespect whether they're black, white or brindle. There's three things in this book that I maintain. There's happiness, there's sadness, and injustice.
I've just come from a sick bed. I've been on All Saints, lying there with tubes hanging out of me. So I've come out of a sick bed to be here, But we live in a sick country, unfortunately. There's not a lot of health and vitality in this country when people like Arthur and his family, all these years on, are still hoping in the Australian tradition that justice awaits them. We spent 4 years fighting for a Royal Commission to Aboriginal deaths in custody, and as Arthur said, $40 million of taxpayers' money, your money, was squandered on protecting the police. I watched a man, there were two men in charge of that, and I watched one go from brown to grey when he realised the political pressure brought on him to come up with that finding. But it's not over, and it'll never be over until it's addressed, until all the issues are addressed, and it will happen. And I hope I'm alive to see it happen for Arthur and his family. That Eddie's case is brought to court and justice is done and seen to be done. I'll leave it there, thanks.
Arthur and Leela are great people, and people like Tony Barry and Noel Olive and all those people who have been behind them for years are a great asset to them. Arthur's a solid-earth man, I think. Leela was an amazing human being. I still see her eyes, her dark eyes, and I still get very emotional. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm a better person for having known Arthur and Leela. I've been a judge for 7 years. As a judge, I often look down and I see someone in a different world now as a judge, and I hope to God that I never forget that for many years I was down on that floor of the court with Arthur and Leela. I hope that never leaves me. I think that Arthur Murray's a great human being. It's hard to imagine life without him, and I think Leela Murray is here with us. I believe in life after death. I believe Leela Murray is here tonight. Thank you very much.
That ends the formal proceedings. The book is for sale up here, and I'm sure that both Simon and Arthur will be around if people want to have a chat with them, have the book signed, etc. Thanks very much for coming.